I have to tell you, for my money, the most second to the Chicago mob, the most interesting hoods in America are the Rhode Island mob guys. I mean, they're just uh, incredible. I lived there for a while, and I got to know some of the guys who were my age. It's a small place. Some of them who were my age, and we weren't friends. In other words, I knew a guy that knew a guy, and so you'd go to a bar and they were there, and so forth. And they're really They're really weird, and they're really interesting. Um, they grow up. They want to be a bad guy. That's their life's goal. You got to be around them to know how nuts they are, and they're really violent. So what we've got now, I'm going to read most of this because I just came across this file. Uh, this clown is the one in the photo you see here, is Jackie Nazarian. He was a longtime Patriarcha guy. He was an enforcer. He was murdered in 1962 when he was 35 years old up on Federal Hill. Federal Hill used to be, I don't know that it is anymore. Federal Hill used to be the Italian section of Providence. I think that's kind of changed over the years. I think the Italians have moved out of there, but at one time it was really thick with Italians, and Patriarcha had his headquarters there above a store, you know, just wasn't anything like you think of mafia guys' headquarters. No Don Corleone stuff. I think they sold refrigerators downstairs. You could just walk upstairs, and it was like an accounting office. If you went in there, there were 3 or 4 desks and ladies working there, and that's where they planned all their mob stuff. They called it the office. At least they did in the '60s. Um, anyway, so uh, he'd been making a lot of noise about taking over the family from Patriarcha, which is going to get you killed anyway. And when Patriarcha was sick, I should say. He was really, really ill. So his killer was probably a guy named, I'm going to screw this up, the Fox Taglianetti. He was also part of the Patriarcha mob, obviously. Uh, he was called, now Nazarene was widely disliked. The cops said he was a mad dog, he was an animal. He was one of the suspected shooters of Albert Anastasia in 1957 down in New York. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Rhode Island has something to do with that. I don't know. The FBI tended to think so. Nazarene's record went back to 1942. He did 4 years in the federal pen in Atlanta for interstate theft of woolen goods. These guys will steal anything. You got. I mean, they'll steal anything that they can wholesale. Anyway, he was acquitted for the murder of another guy, another hood named Boleto, who was a strong arm artist. Who, in fact, Boleto called himself an assault artist. He was murdered. Boleto, I'm talking about, early in the morning in 1955 at a bar that was there for years. I was probably gone. It was called the Bella Napatoli Cafe. It was on Atwells Avenue. Atwells is a main thoroughfare in the Providence, Warwick area. Anyway, he was drunk. Boleto was drunk. He was drunk on, it says here, orangeade and vodka. He's sitting at the bar. He was talking loudly, arguing with himself, bragging about all the things he had done, about how he had half strangled a 200-pound sailor in a demonstration of his strength. Providence was, by the way, it isn't known, but it was a merchant seaman's place, and sailors were all over the downtown a long time ago. It was kind of cool. There were all these great sailor bars, you know. They were really rough places. Um, anyway, he was murdered. They found him. He was strangled and left in a vacant lot. Um, Tagliati, again, I screwed that up. Tagliati is the guy. Taglianetti, I'm sorry, was the guy who killed Nazarian. Do you see why the Italians really dislike this Irish? We butcher their names like that. Uh, Taglianetti was murdered in the 1970s. He was found at the bottom of a flight of steps on Broad Street in Cranston. It's a main thoroughfare, so it's not like they went out of the way to hide it or something. That's where they lived. He was 67, and he was walking home with his 26-year-old girlfriend. who was also murdered. Why he was murdered, who knows? Who cares? Yeah, think about it.